Hello everyone, welcome in to today's video. Today's video is on the importance of disclosures. So welcome everyone, I'm Santiago Garin, and today have an amazing guest speaker, Jose, our basically in-house TC here at Pemberley Realty. So the most knowledge on any type of document, real estate related, Jose knows it. So
Yeah.
Jose, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started,
Yeah, I started in 98 as a full-time real estate agent.
Mhm,
Eventually worked my way to a broker's license
mhm.
and, pretty much done everything, sold homes, land, new
Nice.
homes. I've developed properties as well.
Yeah.
And then I've also, more recently in the last few years, I got myself a mortgage loan origination license for California and also North Carolina, where I currently reside.
Mhm.
So I'm licensed in both states in real estate and also loans. And paperwork is one of those things I just happen to be really good at.
Yeah.
So I decided to add it to one more thing that I can make income of.
Yeah.
But really, more than anything, I just like helping people get past their problems,
Yeah.
keep everybody on best practices so we can all move forward in a positive manner and help our clients, right? Because that's the most important thing that we need to do is always help our clients, make sure that they understand that we offer them a value more than just selling them the house, but actually navigating and helping them through the transaction itself until they finally get the keys to the house, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, I mean, kind of the first question that everyone wants to know is like, why do sellers have to disclose? What are disclosures? Why are sellers having to disclose? Can you tell us a little bit more on that?
yeah, we in California, we live in what's called a seller beware state. That
Okay.
means that the onus of disclosures is mostly on the seller, and
Hmm.
the buyer has a lot more rights in the sense that it's California in general is a consumer state, right? Where the consumer is always protected from any type of disadvantageous situations that are unfair, right, to the buyers. So it really levels the playing field for the buyers in California in real estate, especially, right?
Yeah.
So what that means to a seller is that you always need to make sure to disclose as much as possible about the property. And when I say disclose, I'm talking about material facts, things that are true and not something that is hearsay or uh, a guess. Let's just say that. We don't want to guess at anything. If we
Yeah.
truly don't know, we truly don't know. But if we do know that yes, this exists, or we have any type of documentation in from the past of repairs, inspections, anything that has to do with the property, we want to disclose it. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that the buyer is aware. And if the buyer is aware and we've disclosed everything that we need to about the property that we know to be a material fact, uh, it keeps the seller out of harm's way by disclosing all those material facts, right?
Yeah.
That really is a benefit more than anything. That they avoid a possibility of getting into a lawsuit because they've disclosed all those material facts that would definitely affect the buyer's decision to move forward on a purchase or not, right? Or
Yeah.
the desirability or value of the property, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what are some kind of like common mistakes that sellers make when they're filling out these disclosures? What are some things that you point out a lot that, we have to kind of go back with the seller, be like, hey, this was done incorrectly, just so that, sellers can
Well,
have a
I
little
mean,
idea.
I think that most of the time the question is always, if I know this, should I disclose? And if
Yeah.
there's any gray area, yes, you want to disclose.
Yeah.
Anything that the property you want to disclose. And sometimes, I think it's natural for sellers for fear to kick in and want to not disclose certain facts about the property because they're in fear of losing the sale, right? And
Mhm.
it's a very human trait to not want to lose something, but in reality, it's the fastest way to get to the end of the transactions by putting everything up front, being
Mhm.
transparent, letting the other side what they're actually purchasing, and basically addressing the elephant in the room if there is any, right?
Yeah.
Um, in California in general, disclosures are handled a little bit differently versus Northern California and Southern California. And
Yeah.
in Southern California, we typically want to address the disclosures after the offer has been presented. But in Northern California, they typically want to have all the disclosures done up front and
Yeah.
even provide inspections to the buyer in advance to the offer being made, which, in my point of view is actually better, but everybody has their opinion,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
sometimes, seller simply doesn't want to spend any money until they know they've got an offer accepted,
Yeah.
right? Which is
Hmm.
again understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically there's things that are gray areas for a seller. For example, if they have an estimate or a report on something that was maybe 8 years ago, they might not want to disclose it. But
Hmm.
if you have it,
Yeah.
there's no harm in disclosing it. And if
Yeah.
anything, by disclosing it, you're protecting yourself from being in harm's way via, a lawsuit or something, right?
Yeah. And what, like, an example, like, let's say there was like a repair that was fixed. Let's say there was a leak in the house, but it got fixed, let's say 5 years ago. You
Yes.
still should disclose that, correct?
Yeah,
Even if it
definitely,
got fixed.
definitely, definitely. And if you have a paper trail, even better. Or if you have the phone number of the contractor that did the work, that would be also helpful. Anything that will allow the buyer to do their own investigations would be
Hmm.
great. Unfortunately, many times, a seller will use a handyman who might be unlicensed and
Yeah.
might be doing more work than their unlicensed status allows them to, right?
Yeah.
So again, the fear kicks in that, oh, what if it's out of code? Am I opening a can of worms? Blah blah blah. In reality, it's very common for people to look for day laborers to do work, and if there is an issue, you would rather address it now
Yeah.
versus after the sale, where it can turn into a big mess, and then it could cost a lot more,
Yeah.
especially if attorneys get involved, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
so again,
So,
really the focus is more than anything to stay out of harm's way and move on with your life for other things by addressing the elephant in the room now versus later.
so it's always nice to have beforehand, that you collect all these receipts, uh, permits, warranties, right? That
Yes,
you have on.
yes,
And you can submit those with your disclosures.
you certainly can, and you can actually just scan those documents in and include them with your disclosures. Right, your typical disclosures are going to be the transfer disclosure statement, the seller property questionnaire, and if there's anything related to, like, for example, lead-based paint, any home built prior to 1978, there will be a disclosure on that. If it's much older than that, pre-1960 homes, you will have to fill out what's called a earthquake hazards report. Again, just a simple questionnaire asking certain questions in regards to that, right?
Yeah.
Um, there are other ancillary disclosures that are provided, like a natural hazard disclosure statement, the fire hazard disclosure statement as well. Um, in condos, there's going to be also, disclosures in regards to wooden stairs at balconies.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, all those scenarios are going to depend. And then also another scenario will be like if the seller is a successor trustee of a home, they never lived in it,
Yeah.
they inherited because of an unfortunate death or passing in the family, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And they obviously have never lived in the property, so they might have less disclosures to do for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but again, if there's anything that they know about the property that's a material fact, even if they've never lived in it, it's always healthy to disclose, just
Yeah.
so it doesn't come back to bite you later, right?
Yeah. And how are the disclosures? I mean, not that I don't know, but just for people that don't know, how is it formatted? It's like you mentioned questionnaire, yes, no, and then if it's yes, you have a section to explain, right?
Yeah. So basically, you could do disclosures in two ways. You could do them manually on a handwritten paper. You print
Hmm.
out the disclosure documents and you fill in all the blanks or check boxes. And if there's any yeses, then you must how would I say, add to the yes, like explaining why it's a yes and
Mhm.
etc. Right?
Yeah.
Give it a little bit more detail, of course, right? And
Yeah.
again, you want to keep it factual. You don't want to how would I say, exaggerate at the same time, not minimize, right? Just factual. If you see a crack in a home, you just say crack. You don't say how large it is. You don't say if it's dangerous. You don't say if there's potentials to destroying the home or whatever. Just what you know as
Mhm.
a layperson, right? Unless, of course, you're an expert in the matter that you
Yeah.
deal with crack slabs, and that's a different story, right? It's kind of like pitting the attorney against a layperson, right? They have
Mhm.
a duty to disclose, even that's stronger because of the fact that they're an expert in the matter, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then the other way that you can fill it out as well is what we use called filling it out online.
Yeah.
Basically, service providers like, for example, Glide will let you log in, create an account, and then it will ask you the questions that are on the disclosures, and then you will fill them out. Check boxes, and then add any yes remarks to it as well. You can also add documents that you scan in to be part of those disclosures. Personally, I think it's a lot easier to do,
Yeah.
but everybody's different. So,
Yeah.
we have to respect that. But it's not hard. It's just time consuming, right? You can knock it out quickly if there's not a lot to disclose, but if there is a lot of detail, well, you will definitely take a lot longer to fill out those disclosures. But in general, again, it's not made to be something scary. It's more made to be something to protect you from future problems, right, with the
Yeah.
buyer.
And then, of course, you always have your realtor that's going to be, answering any questions that you might have on certain questions on the disclosure, give that clarification.
Yeah,
'Cause
of
sometimes
course.
the questions can be a little confusing too.
Yes, your professional realtor like Santiago will be the one guiding you through the disclosures. If you have any doubts about something, they'll tell you, "Hey, yeah, it's a good idea to disclose," or
Mhm.
do you have any paperwork that would maybe support whatever you're trying to disclose, etc. Right? Definitely, the professional will help you get through it and take you to the end, right, to the
Yeah,
finish line.
definitely, definitely. So I kind of wanted to keep it short today. I don't know, Jose, do you have anything else on the disclosures that you want to point out for the audience today or for the ones watching later?
No, not really. I mean, like I said again, it's not something very complicated. It's just something that's necessary,
Hmm.
and again, people like you are there to help them,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
And we are all eager to help our clients move forward and get to the next part of their goal in life.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching right now live, I'm gonna put my phone number in here. Feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call. I'll add Roxanne's number in here. She's not in here today, but there's her number if you want to reach out to her too. Here's our email, our shared email that we use. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on Instagram too. Let me see where I find that. Is Here it is. Here's our Instagram. And then if you want to check out our website, you can check out our website there. And then, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe so you guys can see new videos with great guests like Jose today. Wealth of knowledge. Always great to have a great speaker. So, Jose, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you,
And
Santiago. It's a pleasure as always, and
yeah,
you guys have a great day.
yeah. Bye, everyone. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.